Hey friends, welcome back to the Bald Booktuber. This is Scott yet again. We are continuing with part 2, chapter 3 today of Wizard and Glass. So this one's called A Meeting on the Road. Probably just like the last couple days, I'm going to try and knock out 3 or 4 chapters today and give my spoiler-filled thoughts of each section along the way. So I hope you enjoy it. All right, so section 1, chapter 3, we pick up with Susan walking after leaving Rhea's place, thinking back to what she has ahead of her. I'm still grossed out by that whole deal. The mayor's like 50 years older than she is, and yeah, it's not good. Uh, her dad apparently kept the mayor's horses, and that's, the connection or whatnot. And this arrangement is going to, allow the family to have some new stuff. Not good. We meet an individual named Will Dearborn, and so he happens upon her on the road, and they have this back and forth about whether she should ride or not ride, or whether he's going to walk with her or not walk with her, and eventually they determine he'll walk with her until the edge of town, because these are dangerous times, in his words. So, all right, yeah, that's fine. Moving on to section 2. All right, short section. She initially is irritated, thinking he's going to talk her ear off, and then she's irritated that he keeps silent, so she's irritated. And then she hears her dad's voice saying, "Why are you being so standoffish?" And she determines that she does, in fact, want to ride. So, short one. Moving on to section 3. Okay, so as she gets up on the horse and starts riding, Will starts to whistle Careless Love, which is the song that she sang in the last chapter. And in her head, she's hearing her dad say, maybe it's Ka. And she's like, no, it's not Ka. So kind of a cool sequence. Yeah, we'll go on from there. Section 4. So that wraps up chapter 3. Good chapter. King took the opportunity to do quite a bit of exposition in that last section, with the two of them talking. We learned that there is an individual nicknamed the Good Man, who is kind of running rampant and stirring people up and stuff like that, and don't know how he's going to play into the story, or if this is just another example of the Man in Black, something like that. I don't think so, but who knows. We learn a bit about Will's backstory. So he and his buddies got in trouble. They inadvertently killed this really important thoroughbred horse, and his father and some of the other fathers sent them on this as something of a penance, to go count things and this sort of stuff. He is from a place called New Canaan, and she clarifies, so not Gilead, and he's like, no, nothing so fine as that. So, some other barony named New Canaan. And then quite a bit of talk about there's a thinny in her area, and they hear it, and it again is kind of driving him nuts, and she's sort of used to it at this point. But it talks about how it didn't exist in her father's lifetime always. It started to occur during his lifetime. Has always been obviously during her lifetime, but so it just sort of appeared, and it is growing, which is interesting. So slowly but surely it is getting bigger. And they do these brush fires and stuff to apparently muffle the sound a little bit and to keep the animals away. But some of the animals have happened into this thinny, and they've never returned. Yeah, I want to know more about the thinnies. That's what's cool to me. But yeah, good chapter overall. Definitely nowhere near as disgusting as the previous one, which is a start. So I'm going to get going on chapter 4 here, long after moonset. So let's get started on section 1 of that. All right, so I'm pretty upset with myself because I didn't put together that Will Dearborn is just an alias for Roland. Excuse me, and that obviously probably should have been clear, but I need the author to tell me because I can't figure these things out by myself. So he's with Cuthbert, and who we remember from the Gunslinger and some of his thinking back sequences in the prior 2 books, and they're talking, and Roland is all about Susan at this point, which we knew that was going to happen. He does some more thinking back to his pa, and Dad is trying to send him out of danger by sending him here. Talks a little bit more about the good man and how at one point, as part of the revolution or coup or whatever, I don't remember the name of the barony off the top of my head, starts with an I, but he and his pals put some heads on spikes, which is, as his dad said, persuasive politics. It's an interesting way to think about it, I guess. We're going to move on to section 2, but good stuff. Okay, so in that section we meet her Aunt Cordelia, who I was already predisposed to dislike, and I think I dislike her more than I thought I was going to. So this is her dad Patrick's sister, Aunt Cord, or Cordelia. And it's very clear that Aunt Cord only sees her niece as a meal ticket and isn't afraid to sell her off as a breeding mare. And it's, I don't like any of that. It's just bad. Susan shows her the paper with the witch's mark that says honest on it. Aunt Cord wants to keep it, and Susan says no. Rhea told me I need to hold on to this, and it has to be me that gives it to the mayor. And Cord's like, I never heard of something like that. And Susan's like, well, you go talk to her and figure it out then. So and then we get into a sequence of Susan going to bed and thinking of Roland, and I won't get into what she was doing while thinking about Roland, because I don't want to think about that. So we're moving on to section 3. Off that chapter with a discussion between 2 characters we're meeting for the first time. It's 2 of the 3 that are serving like as bodyguards currently for the mayor, and that's Jonas and Reynolds. And apparently DePape is the 3rd one, and they talk about him, but he isn't in this scene. They are in this Traveler's Saloon, which apparently the mayor's sister Coral owns, and the mayor apparently has some controlling interest in it as well. And they're spending a fair amount of time talking about Roland and his friends, so obviously they're here in preparation for those guys coming. There is some additional talk about the good man and his group. There is a little bit of Reynolds internally monologuing about Jonas and the different worlds he's traveled to through doors. So I think that is interesting and will probably go somewhere. These guys, I don't know if they are were on the path to become gunslingers and had to turn to crime instead, or what the deal was. Seems like business is picking up a little bit. So good chapter. We learned a few things, and I'm looking forward to chapter 5 now. Welcome to town. So let's get started. So we start the chapter with Roland, Cuthbert, and Elan heading towards apparently the mayor's house for an introduction. Short one. A little good-natured ribbing between the boys, and yeah, moving on. All right, really cool section there. So we have the boys presenting themselves officially to Sheriff Avery, who Avery likes to talk. He likes the sound of his own voice, which is fine. But they present their official papers. So Roland again is presented as Will. We have Alan presents himself as Richard, and Cuthbert is presenting himself as Arthur. The papers are like officially signed by Stephen Deshane, Roland's dad, these kinds of things, and their official capacity, which is to be counters for the Alliance. So that's all fine. There are some discussions about just kind of everyday life here in their town. The boys are surprised to see that there's ice in their glasses along with their tea, because apparently this is something of a rarity in this world. So Avery talks about how they have a working refrigerator and these kinds of things. There is mention of, again, the Citgo that was previously mentioned, as well as a Honda factory. So, all these kind of tiny little clues lead me to believe, and I'm probably wrong, but they lead me to believe that Midworld was a lot closer to our own world up until a certain point, when there was some sort of apocalyptic event or something, and then the world moved on, as they say. So we've got those clues. We've got like Hey Jude, the Beatles song was played in a previous chapter. So I mean, all worlds should have the Beatles. That's just the way it should be. But so my thinking is that something happened to veer them off into this kind of desolation and wasteland that they're in right now, but I don't know what that is. And I'm sure we'll find out. Or my theory is just completely wrong. That's probably fine too. So, but yeah, really enjoy this chapter. There's a fair amount of distrust back and forth between Roland and his guys and Avery. But everybody's saying the right things, so trying to keep up the diplomacy, as it were. So really good section. I'm enjoying this chapter a lot so far, so let's continue on with section 3. Just a quick section there with Avery speaking to one of his deputies, and just reiterating the fact that they don't trust these boys, and Avery kind of wants to show them their place, as it were. So, quick one. Section 4. And yet another quick section there with Roland talking to Alan and Cuthbert, and just kind of reiterating their distrust of Avery. So, nice and easy section, and we're moving on. All right, just a quick section. So they meet the mayor's wife and sister. So, not much else to report there. Roland says, what is it here? He liked Olive Thorin, the mayor's wife, on site, and perhaps that was problematic because other than Susan, that'll be the last person he trusts all night. So, not surprising. So, section 6. So we meet, and the boys meet Chancellor Kimba Reimer, who's been mentioned previously. This is apparently the Minister of Inventory, whatever that is. He's like the mayor's right-hand man. And so, I think he's going to do the introductions to the mayor. And we're moving on to section 7. All right, cool section there. So we're at the party and doing introductions, and I guess the boys are formally introduced to the group, which is good. We see that Jonas is by the mayor's side, as is Susan, and Roland misunderstands because why would anyone think that a mayor in his 60s would be with a 16-year-old girl? He thinks that the mayor is her uncle, and which is wrong, obviously. Um, we meet a rancher named Lingle. I don't know what his significance is going to be, but I don't think he's just a throwaway character. We'll see what he does. And kind of Reimer is still there. So, yeah, pretty cool section. We're going to keep moving. All right, so Aunt Cord just continues to be the worst. She pulls Susan to the side and is giving her grief about how she was looking at Will. Roland believes that this is not their first time meeting, which we know that it isn't, but obviously Susan denies that. Yeah, Aunt Cord is just awful. At one point, she's like, "What would your father think?" And that brings tears to Susan's eyes. And in Aunt Cord's head, she's like, "My stupid brother, even now he has his uses." Just that's what she thinks of people. She sees people as dollar signs and opportunities, and it's bad. I don't like Aunt Cord. I hope. Well, I don't want to say what I hope. Moving on to section 9. All right. So we've got Roland talking to another rancher. This one's name is Renfrew, and Renfrew is talking to him about counts of livestock and horses and so forth. We have more discussion about disfigured and mutilated animals, which again goes back to the radiation poisoning that's been mentioned previously, that I think obviously was a byproduct of whatever it was that happened that made the world move on. So more to come on that. And then the mayor's sister Coral is a extremely unpleasant person, and she's educating Roland on the fact that Susan is the mayor's Sheevan, which is a word he's unfamiliar with and I'm unfamiliar with, but apparently it means sidewife. And she's talking about how, it's a woman who's paid for and these kinds of things. And obviously Roland is both crestfallen and understandably upset about this. And he looks again at the mayor's wife, Olive, and sees why she's so sad. She's just kind of sitting there with a smile, but not a happy one, type deal, as she witnesses the mayor and his side wife, Susan. So, some good character building and stuff in there, good stuff. The chapter's almost over. I think section 10 will be the last section here, and let's see where it ends up. All right, good deal. So that wraps up the chapter, and that'll wrap up this reading session. There's a dance between Roland and Susan, and she thanks him for his discretion and propriety. And he says, "I can definitely be discreet, but I'm surprised you even know or understand the word propriety." So, it's kind of a jolt at her. She's obviously stunned by it and stuff, and that's kind of where we leave off the chapter. Good chapter. We meet some new folks. We get to learn a little bit more about the mayor and his circle. I'm enjoying it quite a little bit, and we'll move on to some more chapters tomorrow. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate all of the support.